there, Munchie Mafia. We are making beef stroganoff with a different kind of meat because a lot of people are struggling right now with getting meat in their household. And, of course, you can do beef stroganoff with ground beef, but if you're looking for something a little more traditional, but can't afford the $35 a package flank steak, what we're using is Terrace Major. What we're going to do is start off with some flour for dredging, and we're going to add some salt and pepper. We want to always season. This is Terrace Major, and it is a tenderloin type of tenderloin that's got a little bit more fat content to it, but it comes from the scapula, which is like just below the shoulder blade. And instead of costing $35, this here is 2.5 pounds, and it was $15 for the whole package, as opposed to $35 for the flank. And flank is a little bit of a tougher meat. You have to really braise it for quite a while, or it's going to just remain tough. This is pretty soft meat. It's very tender, and it's very similar to a filet mignon, except for that the tenderloins are considerably smaller. One tenderloin is roughly around 11 ounces to 1 pound usually, and of course cows only have 2 of those. So and they have a really good beefy flavor to them, but they cook up really nice. And we've got this all nice and dredged. It's all thoroughly combined. We don't want to over dredge either. And the other ingredients that we're going to need are mushrooms and sour cream, some wine. I'm using sherry because that's my typical go-to. Some dried thyme, some rosemary, and some smoked garlic cloves. I'm going to use some of this Italian parsley and some julienne sweet onion. So we're going to start off with our sauteuse pan. I'm going to turn that off so that we're not getting blasted with the thing there. We're going to get this preheated with some oil. We're also going to need bay leaves and some beef bouillon base. And I prefer to use this one here because when you buy the beef stock at the grocery store, you may not need all of it. And so what ultimately happens is that you end up wasting it unless you have a means to put it into your freezer. And right now my freezer is pretty well full. And right into the pan it goes. Now, this is almost a one in pot wonder of sorts. The only other thing that you need to do is just cook off your pasta or potato. It's up to you how you like to serve yours. I've seen some people serve it over rice, and that's fine too. It's all about your personal preference. Now you can cut these into little tiny cubes if you want. I just cut them into slices. And one of the nice things about stroganoff is that you can bulk out this meal by adding a lot of mushrooms and onions. And if you don't like either of those, you can, but you like bell peppers, you could definitely do that too. Build it to however way your family likes it. I'm basically just showing that, you could definitely make this dish without flank steak. Of course, you can always use hamburger too, which is fine. You also use chicken. Chicken stroganoff is also a thing. And if you're into hunting, you can definitely use venison for this. When you do venison, I would suggest using the back strap. Good cut of meat. All right. We still have quite a bit of red and pink on this meat, so we're just going to just keep moving it around and moving it around and moving it around before we start to incorporate more things to it. Also, if you're interested in a vegetarian version of this, but you do definitely do dairy, you can always just use just mushrooms, and you can use a variety of different kinds of mushrooms, not just, one in particular. And it tastes pretty darn good that way too. You can also do pork. I've seen pork stroganoff. I've actually made pork stroganoff because in the summertime, pork is really, 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 really cheap. And at this point, we are going to sprinkle in a little bit of the thyme leaves. And I just give it like a little light dash of it. That's probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon right there. And I like to start with the harder vegetables next. So that's going to be the onion. And we're just going to start mixing this together. Now, if you got a lot of brown bits on the bottom of the pan, that's not burnt. That's what's known as the fond. It's the buildup of a combination of the flour and the fat from that's been rendering off this meat. And some of the little mealy bits are also parts of the meat. We can actually give it a little bit of a light deglaze. And I would just go with just a little bit of water at first. Just a smidge. Just to help to release some of that back into the food, because that's where the flavor is. And we want that back in there. And if you got a lot of fond, then you're just give it another splash. And start scraping. Now, if you're using a non-stick pan, you're probably not going to get much fond on the bottom of your pan as you would a regular saute pan. But just move your wooden spoon around, or nylon spatula, or whatever you're using. Just move it around a little bit. And we're going to let these kind of relax and get happy a little bit. Scraping that fond off the bottom as best as you can. You don't have to be too aggressive with it. Just move around some of that liquid. If you notice that you need a little bit more, then just splash just a little bit more in there. Because whatever liquid we got in there, it's going to help to build that sauce, that base for the sour cream. It's going to give it body and flavor and deliciousness. We're going to throw in some mushrooms. These are just baby bellas. It's however much or however little that you want. And let those start to get happy in there. It will start to give it that umami flavor that you find in a mushroom as they start to cook down. Maybe add a little more. We'll just add all of it. And at this point, you're going to want to put some rosemary in. This is fresh rosemary, and give it a good dice. Now, rosemary is very, very powerful. It's a very powerful herb. So go a little easy on it because you don't want it to taste too much like rosemary. There's just a point where it's like it can be too overpowering. So a couple good pinches of fresh. Now, if you're using dry, use one pinch because dried is going to be a lot more concentrated in flavor. Okay, so it's been a little bit. We got some more fond building at the bottom of the pan. Try to get the top to the bottom so that those mushrooms that were sitting on top can start to get some of that heat too. Because they need the love. They need the passion. So now we got some thickening action happening right now. So we're going to get our sherry and we're going to drunk this baby up. It's prom night. There we go. Give it a stirry stir. Get some more of that release of the fond at the bottom of the pan. Back into the food. There we go. It's looking nice and lovely. We're going to take a good smidge of this. We're going to stick with that for right now and see where we're at. Let's give it a stirry stir. Get that all combined. And then we're going to get some bay leaves. We're just going to grab like one and a partial, and then we're going to just break it up and crumble it. We're just going to let that get happy for a bit. Now, one of the easier hacks for this is if you get a packet of beef gravy or brown gravy and some water, you can definitely use that instead. If that's going to help with your budget, I would put a couple of those packets in here. Because those, you can sometimes find those at the grocery store for 50 cents a piece. So if you're looking for very, very budget friendly, there you have it. A couple of brown gravy packets and a little bit of water. Just let this do its thing. Get happy and thicken up like you would a gravy. Now at this point, if you do have somebody in your household that can't eat dairy, you can stop right here with it. Take out a portion of it for your family member that can't have the dairy. Set it aside with some of the gravy. And then add the sour cream to the remainder of it so that your family member can also, that can't have dairy, can enjoy a meal that's loosely close to what everybody else is eating instead of having to eat, a plate of whatever. So we're going to just let this do its thing for a little bit. And we're going to start to dump our pasta noodles in. Egg noodles are pretty forgiving to a point. And for the amount that I'm making, it's going to be about a package and a half, which is a pound and a half of egg noodles. And if you can't find egg noodles at your store, you can definitely use penne, or you can do mashed potato, or roasted potatoes, or even spoon it over the top of baked potatoes, even. So now we're going to give this a stirry stir. It's really starting to get bubbly and very angry. So this is about the time that we should be able to start adding our sour cream. We're going to reduce the temperature down because we don't want that sour cream to scald. And I have smoked garlic, which is already fully cooked, but I keep them in the freezer as whole bulbs. We're just going to throw all 4 of those in there. If you don't have smoked garlic, you can just use just regular garlic. It's fine. Now, one final ingredient that Stroganoff definitely needs is Worcestershire sauce. Let's talk about Worcestershire sauce for a moment. Store brands are not quite like Leah Perrin's in that the viscosity is way thinner. So you might have to use just a little smidge more. So when it comes to Worcestershire, don't skimp. Just buy the Leah Perrin's. We're just going to give it a stir. Get that all nice and happy. Sprinkle some rough cut Italian parsley in there. And get that all incorporated, because as you can see, there's a few little lumps in here and there, and here and there. And we're going to let that heat back up, because anytime you drop something cold into something very hot, the temperature goes down and they don't want to work well together until, you know, it's back up to temperature. It's nice and sexy. Look at that. It smells delightful. Dip your spoon in there and give it a tasty taste. It's got the perfect amount of salt. I do want a little bit more pepper though. And there we have it. There's that. We're going to check our pasta. Ow, it's hot. So here's our sauce. And now all we have to do is just spoon it over the top of the noodles, or at least some of the sauce anyway. Let's see where we're at. Tossy. Because the sauce is going to help to keep those noodles from sticking in the bowl or in your serving dish if you serve family style. Now, if you don't serve family style, you'll probably want to just mix it together in the pot. That way it's one and done. And there we have it. Add some more. Until we got all that goodie out. And we still have a little bit of fond in the bottom of the pan, but that's okay. It's not burnt. Not burnt. Stir up some magic. And there we have it. We have a giant bowl of beef stroganoff for the week. That's for lunch, for dinner, for a couple days. So here we do. We got it. Beef stroganoff. All right, Munchie Mafia. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave a message in the comments for me. Would you make this with beef, pork, or chicken or turkey? Or would you do the vegetarian version with mushrooms? Leave me a comment. So don't forget, cook with love, eat with passion. Have a good night, everybody.
If you haven't yet subscribed to Munchie Mafia Official, now is that time. What's stopping you?